All right, guys, so we're going to look at chapter 18 for Unit 6 now, okay? So we're going to look at the Victorians, and we're going to look at something a little bit more modern. Some of the things that we kind of know today are going to be talked about here in this chapter. All right. So let's talk about first my least favorite thing, the circus. Why? Because I don't like circuses, because animals belong in their natural habitat. But P.T. Barnum, all right, he is going to utilize the railroads, which have finally been finished. He's going to create this circus that's going to be for family entertainment. It's going to start off first as kind of like a freak show, quote unquote, where the idea is come look at the super overweight person, or the bearded lady, or the pygmy from Africa, or things like that. Then he's going to bring in the animals, and then we're going to eventually get all of the fun stuff. And no, the musical is about 15% accurate. There was something called the Barnum and Bailey Circus, and that's where it ended. All right, so the whole circus is going to encourage women to attend. It's going to be kind of a middle class event for parents and children to go to. All right, and enjoy the outdoors. Okay. Then we're going to get first class rail cars. So these rail cars are going to be fancy things. Okay, they're going to be some of them known as the ladies' cars. All right, they're carpeted, they're upholstered, they're beautiful, they're fancy, and no African Americans are allowed. So that's going to bring us to Plessy v. Ferguson, 1896. The case is going to go before the Supreme Court because Plessy is going to be somebody with a small percentage of black blood in them. They are going to, it is all prearranged, sit on the white section of the train. They're going to get arrested, and then the lawsuit is going to go all the way up to the Supreme Court, whereby the Supreme Court is going to note that separate but equal accommodations are completely according to law. Okay, and their argument is we can't make different races get along, so therefore that's just how we're going to live. Okay, and so that's separate but equal. This is going to rule the land until pretty much the 1950s, when we're going to reverse it, at least when it comes to schools, and then the 1960s, when the civil rights is really going to push forth a lot of changes. All right, so the Barnum and Bailey Circus, nope, still don't like it. And then here we're going to have, this is kind of what the cars looked like, the fancy ladies' cars, okay, really ornate. All right, and then there's the Supreme Court case for Plessy, they're handwritten. All right, so there's going to be a rise of sports during this time period, okay? So something to kind of know about. There's going to be the YMCA. The YMCA is going to be born. It's going to be in Boston, 1851. All right, and it's basically an organization that's going to promote physical fitness for men, of course, not women. And it's also going to combine with evangelical Christianity. So you can go and get some time in a church and in a gym. So it's kind of a win-win. So those are going to start in about 1851. And then we are going to get baseball. Is it still America's pastime? I don't know. Debated maybe today, but baseball is going to be developed before the Civil War. Obviously, the Civil War put a little halt to that. All right. And then after the war, it's going to become a professional sport. So we're going to get the National League in 1876. We're going to get the first World Series in 1903. All right, and the Philly Reds are going to be one of the first teams. So we're also going to get the rise of the Negro League. So 1900s, due to segregation, they're going to form their own leagues, and they're going to be pretty stacked with talent. So we're also going to get football. Thank goodness. Maybe that's America's pastime? I don't know. Still possibly arguable. I'm not sure. So 1880s, Ivy League colleges. This is where football is going to start. Not where we would think of today, but that's where it started. It was seen as kind of violent. It started with just the 6 players in 1908. Okay. The rules were created for player safety, leading to professional teams. And some of the first professional teams are Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and Chicago. So, yeah. Nice. All right, and then we're going to get preservation, because the outdoors are pretty important. And by 1890, we have 10 million bicycles sold in the USA. Bicycling is going to be one of the biggest pastimes. All right, ladies in their dresses can ride bikes. Men in their suits can ride bikes. You ride out into the parks and the the different areas in the city to go have picnics. So it's a huge pastime. Not quite what it is today, where they, ride 30 miles an hour and um, blaze through traffic stops. All right, so preservation is going to be really important. National and state governments, they're going to set aside land for preservation and recreation. Super big. This we're going to have Woodrow Wilson. President Woodrow Wilson is going to create National Park Service in 1916. All right, and then Teddy, good old Roosevelt there, he's going to get the Antiquities Act created in 1906, which basically sets aside historic objects and sites. So if something big happened there, like Custer's Last Stand, we can set it aside as a historic site, which we did, and it is. We're also going to get environmentalists. All right. The first guy is going to be John Muir, super fascinating character. He's going to found the Sierra Club in 1892. He's going to explore the Pacific coast. He's all about protecting wildlife. And the Sierra Club is going to be, they're going to be the ones to sponsor the first Audubon Society. FYI, Audubon societies monitor, observe, and take note of birds. Kind of important. All right, here's just an image of all of the different parks and forests that are going to come into play. Check it out. Here's Colorado. We got a lot going on here. Okay, so great sand dunes. Okay, we got the Rocky Mountains. All right, right up here in the corner, we've got the dinosaur. All right, so we got a lot going on in Colorado, and it's just going to keep growing. Okay, so of course there's California. So we're going to set all this land aside and preserve it. All right, there's going to be changes to the American family as well. So the family size decreased after the Civil War, also because we lost so many people. So women are going to give birth to an average of 7 children by 1900. That's an average of, like, it went from 3.6 to 7. That's a lot of babies. All right, rural families are even larger because they need workers. Okay, industrial families usually are smaller so that they have fewer mouths to feed, which means that they're kind of doing something about the number of births that they have. Okay, couples married at older ages, all right, which are also suppressing fertility. And then we're going to get this thing called the Comstock Act, 1873. You need to know this. You need to remember this. It's not going anywhere for a long time. All right, Anthony Comstock, he is going to pass this act that's going to ban all obscene materials from U.S. mail. U.S. mail is overseen by the federal government, so it is a federal crime to pass anything, all right, that is quote-unquote obscene. And they are going to categorize birth control and anything to do with sex as obscene, so therefore you can't advertise different birth control methods or ship out methods in the mail under the Comstock Act. Okay, this is going to, again, be really significant. We're going to challenge it here in the 1920s. Okay. All right, education is going to get bigger and get better. So we're going to have the rise of high school. Boys are going to continue on in school farther. All right, girls are also going to finish high school more. All right, the curriculum is literature, composition, history, geography, the things that you study today. All right, and then colleges. By 1920, approximately 8% of youths are actually starting to attend universities. This is huge. All right. And then African Americans, we're going to get a special school. The Tuskegee Institute in 1881 is going to be established by Booker T. Washington. Its fundamental goal, all right, is to educate for industrial positions. So women are going to get educated in nursing and teaching, while men will get educated in trades and farming. Okay. So that's the purpose of the Tuskegee Institute. This is going to be challenged later by W.E.B. Du Bois. So keep this guy in mind and keep the Tuskegee Institute in mind. Women's education is also going to flourish a little bit. We're going to get schools like Vassar, Smith, and Wellesley. My mentor at CSU actually went to Smith. So prominent schools still today. Okay, from this, we're also going to get the Women's Christian Temperance Union. What? Yep, temperance is back. So we have the WCTU led by Frances Willard. Okay, we're going for prohibition. So remember that guy Lyman Beecher way back in the day, pre-Civil War? Frances Willard is going to pick up that fight and carry it on. Okay, it's going to be a national movement. All right, and this movement is really going to be against domestic violence. It's going to be founding soup kitchens for the poor, free libraries, all of these different things. So the WCTU is really going to be kind of hands-on in a bunch of different ways. Okay, they're also going to kind of give a call out for women's suffrage. So, all right. And then we're going to get Daughters of American Revolution, the United Daughters of the Confederacy. So women are going to start forming these organizations that are going to have a cause. Okay. So Ida B. Wells is the one I want you to really key in on. Anti-lynching 1892. She's super important. We're going to come back to her in another chapter. All right. So women's rights is going to be big. So you definitely need to know and get in your notes National American Women Suffrage Association. Okay. They are going to be established in 1890. Okay. They're going to work towards winning ballots for women in Colorado, Wyoming, Idaho, and Utah. Have no fear, though, there will be an anti-suffrage organization called the National Association Opposed to Women's Suffrage. They're going to be established in 1911. All right, and then we have our first quote-unquote feminist organization, the Heterodoxy Club. They're going to be established in 1912. All right, let's just take notes. Right on, Colorado. Here we are, 1893. Not bad, ladies. All right, and then you can see when everybody else kind of chimes in. So 1910, 1911, a lot of these Western states kind of needed the people to be voting. So that's why they passed the suffrage movements. All right, so Darwinism, right? The strong will survive idea, right? That's how evolution, things like that. So we're going to get this new theory in 1859 that's going to evolve from Charles Darwin's idea of the species, origin of the species, and the strongest will survive. Okay, natural selection. We're going to get a social version of this developed by Herbert Spencer, where the idea is the survival of the fittest, right? The rich are rich because they're better. The poor are poor because, well, they're not. And that's just social Darwinism. Okay. Unfortunately, also during this time period, we're going to get eugenics, which is the science of stopping certain people from human breeding, okay? The idea that mentally deficient people should not reproduce. Therefore, we're going to have sterilization laws, and it's a thing. It happens. We do it so that these people don't have babies. Not a shining example of our past. We're also going to do this, all right, with lower races, quote unquote, leading to intensified discriminations against Asians, African Americans, Native Americans. We're going to sterilize some of them. So they're going to get arrested. They're going to get into a hospital for one thing, and we're going to, while we're there, let's just do this too. That's a smidge controversial, but it is something that we did in the hopes of quote unquote cleansing our population. All right, so then we're going to get this thing called naturalism, right? That human beings were victims of forces beyond control, right? From that, we're going to get some books, right? The Law of Life by Jack London, The Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court by Mark Twain. So remember in your big ideas, there's a literary movement you should keep track of. Well, here's some people that you need to drop in there. Okay, so naturalism. Then we're going to get modernism, all right? They're going to reject traditional literary tastes, and they're going to go a little different path there. So anybody who questions progress, okay, like photographers who claim painting is not a true representation of things, there's going to be this battle within modernism, okay? The art world is going to retaliate with modern arts, okay, and cubism. So here's some examples, right? We have the top left, which is kind of what we're used to during this time. But if you notice, okay, you're going to start seeing the cubism come into effect here, all right, in sculptures, okay, all right, and then obviously here in our paintings. So modernism is on us. Naturalism is happening, all right, two huge literary and artistic movements. Okay, so immigrant faiths, Catholics and Jews, okay, we're going to start questioning whether they should be adapting to American Protestantism because, well, that's who we are. So says the 1880s. And so parishes are going to be based on ethnicity. Catholics are still going to practice Catholicism. Jews are still going to practice Judaism. That's kind of how it's going to keep going. And then we're going to get this thing called the social gospel. It's a Protestant innovation. You need to know this. This is going to be my big thing. to know that you watched this or did your reading. So, social gospel is an attempt to evangelicanize those who are uncommitted to religion. So, social gospel is going to try to help people bring them into religion, all right, because by doing that, it's going to better their lives, all right, and better their standing. It is a religious movement, the social gospel. It is a religious movement. So once you learn a new word here soon in another chapter that also has the word social in it, please don't confuse it to social gospel. Social gospel is a religious movement bringing more people, all right, evangelicizing more people, all right, into religion. All right, and then we're gonna think of the YMCA. I already talked about that, and the Salvation Army. Okay, which, well, yeah. All right, fundamentalists. Okay, so we're gonna get conservatives. All right, they're gonna be concerned about secularism in our country. All right, they're gonna reaffirm the literal truth of the Bible. Right, damnation to those not born to Christ. All right, they're gonna go back to the revival meetings. Remember the Second Great Awakening. All right, those parties are gonna come back. Okay, this is the truth of the Bible. And Billy Sunday is going to be the guy who's going to bring it to everybody. Okay. He is going to connect Americans with this Protestant religion, and he is hugely popular. He's going to be on the radio. He's going to do big shows. People go to see him. All right. He is world renowned, Billy Sunday. Okay. All right, guys. So, like we talked about, artistic literary movements definitely in here. Key events, they're happening. Themes, some new ones are being represented. All right. So, sources of conflict. Well, we have immigrants and we still don't like them. So, update your notes, get these things into your big ideas. And until next time.